Let's talk about your mind. You know, that incredibly complex, mysterious thing that's running the show, or is it? It so often feels like there's some kind of hidden operator pulling the strings, right? Making us act in ways that just don't make sense.
I mean, let's just get right to it with a question that I think hits home for pretty much everyone. Why do we do this to ourselves? You know exactly what you should do, eat the healthy thing, get the project done, call your mom, but then you find yourself doing the complete opposite. What is happening in those moments?
It really can feel like this, can it? Like we're just puppets on a string being pulled around by these invisible forces. Our logical, conscious self is over here making plans, but something else, something deeper, is actually steering the ship. It creates this huge gap between what we say we want and what we actually end up doing.
Well, what if you could actually see those strings? What if you could understand those forces? That's what we're going to do today. We are going to unpack a really powerful and honestly pretty counterintuitive new theory that gives you a whole new user manual for your own mind.
Now, this isn't just some pop psychology. This entire framework is built on the life's work of Dr. Michael Lukens, a clinical psychologist with more than 3 decades of experience. It's all laid out in his massive 3-volume book series called The Physics of Emotioning. The first volume is out, the next 2 are on the way. And believe me, this is a whole new operating system for understanding why we do what we do.
So the absolute core of his whole theory is this idea of emotioning. And look, this is not just about feeling happy or sad or angry. Emotioning is the deep, continuous program for action that is always running in the background. It is shaping every single thing you think, feel, and do. You can think of it as the engine of your mind, not just the emotional exhaust.
And check this out. Dr. Lukens boils the entire system down to this one single powerful formula. E equals a function of MA. Now don't worry, you don't need a calculator. E is emotioning, that constant program for action we just talked about. And it's a function of M, which is the meaning you're creating in any given moment, and A, which is the action you're driven to take. Your entire reality is basically this constant feedback loop of meaning and action. This is the master key, and we're about to use it to unlock 5 pretty mind-blowing truths.
All right, let's dive in. Truth number 1 completely reframes what feelings are even for. Get this, they aren't just random noise you should ignore. They are your own personal, built-in GPS. So many of us are taught that our feelings are irrational. They're the static that gets in the way of our real, logical goals. But the reality is the complete opposite. Your feelings are an incredibly sophisticated guidance system. They're not the destination. They're your real-time data, telling you where you are. You see, this changes everything. That feeling of frustration, it's not a problem you need to push down. It's a GPS signal telling you you're getting colder, you're moving away from a goal that matters to you. On the other hand, joy, excitement, that means you're getting warmer. The stronger the feeling, the more important the goal. So instead of fighting our feelings, we should be listening to them. They're trying to tell us something.
Okay, you with me? Because truth number 2 takes that idea and builds on it. And it really challenges our culture's worship of pure logic. It turns out that rational you isn't the CEO running the show. It's actually more like an unpaid intern.
We love to believe that our logical mind is the boss, right? The one making all the calm, calculated decisions. But that's a total illusion. Logic is just a tool. A really powerful tool, no doubt. But it can't decide to use itself. It just sits there in the toolbox until an emotion, a desire, a fear, a curiosity picks it up and gives it a job to do.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? Emotion always chooses the destination first. Your desire to see a friend, your fear of an upcoming deadline, your excitement about a new hobby, that's the bus driver. Reason is just the map you pull out afterwards to figure out the best way to get there.
All right, on to truth number 3. This one is all about that little voice in your head. You know the one, that inner narrator that's with you 24/7. Well, surprise, it's not the one in charge either. It's just the commentator. We identify so strongly with that inner monologue. We think that's the I who's operating our life. But it's so important to separate the system, your whole operational self that's actually doing things, from the observer, which is that narrative voice. That voice is way more like an internal press secretary, whose main job is to cook up a good story after the decision has already been made.
And this explains so much. It explains why our actions can feel so disconnected from our thoughts.
The system acts based on its deep internal programming, and then the press secretary jumps on the mic to justify it, explain it away, and spin the action to make sure we still feel good about ourselves. It's a storyteller, not the quarterback.
Okay, so this brings us to what might be the most challenging, most mind-bending idea of them all. Truth number 4. Your will isn't free. It's determined by your structure. So, let's unpack that because it's a big one.
The theory is really direct about this. Free will, as we usually think of it, is an illusion. That feeling of choice is just a story our observer, our press secretary, tells itself. In reality, every single action you take is the only action you could have taken in that exact moment. Why? Because it's determined by your unique structure. And structure just means the sum total of everything that makes you you, your biology, your entire life history, your current emotional state, all of it.
Now, I know that might sound kind of grim or fatalistic, but it's actually incredibly liberating. It lets us move away from useless self-blame in toward real self-understanding. So instead of beating ourselves up, asking, why did I choose to do that stupid thing, we can get curious and ask, what in my structure led to that action? It's a huge shift from judgment to investigation.
And that leads us perfectly to our final truth, truth number 5, which completely changes how we see our connection to other people. Communication isn't an exchange of information, it's a trigger.
We tend to think that when we talk, we're sending a little packet of meaning from my brain into your brain, but that's not what's happening at all. According to this theory, we each live in our own unique multiverse of meaning, built from our own unique structure. So when I say a word like love, it doesn't transfer my definition to you. My word just acts as a trigger, a ripple in your pond that activates your entire unique history and web of meaning connected to that word. So let's just put this all together for a second. This new operating manual shows us a mind where feelings are our GPS, not just static. Reason is the helpful intern, not the CEO. That voice in our head, that's just the press secretary, not the president. And our actions, they're determined by our life structure. And when we talk to each other, we're not just swapping data. We are literally triggering entire worlds of meaning within one another.
So where does all of this new understanding actually get us? Well, Dr. Lukens argues that it opens the door to something he calls committed benevolent interest, or CBI for short. He defines this meta-emotion as the very essence of pure love. It's a genuine, committed interest in the well-being of another person, and he doesn't mince words. He calls this the literal saving grace for humanity.
And that's really why all of this matters so much. When you truly understand that we are all structure-determined beings, each living in our own unique multiverse of meaning, it completely removes the foundation for blame and judgment. It has to. In its place, you find curiosity and compassion, both for yourself and for other people. This isn't just an interesting theory. It's a blueprint for a more compassionate way to be in the world.
So we're going to end on this powerful question. If that inner voice, your observer, is just the storyteller, the press secretary spitting the actions your system is already taking, then you actually gain a new kind of freedom. Not the freedom to choose your actions, but the freedom to choose the story you tell about them. So, the question is, what story will you choose to tell now?